battle. It's the Phillies and the Cardinals presented by Chevrolet. Let's get you out to St. Louis and Joe Buck.
Hey, Matt, last season the Cardinals defeated the Phillies in the division series. And now in 2012, the reigning World Series champs have started out as one of the hottest teams in the game. There hasn't been much brotherly love in Philadelphia this season, but the Phils are turning things around as they look for their 4th straight win tonight. This is baseball night in America, so where else to be on a night like this, a Saturday night, than right in America's heartland. It is hot. In the 90s, it's humid. Why wouldn't the Phillies be smiling? They've won the first 2 games of this series, and the fans getting ready to pack in here and watch 2 teams dressed in red. The Phillies and the Cardinals on a Saturday night for you on Fox. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. That is Tim McCarvey. You took your glasses off since I last looked at your face. Ken
About
Rosenthal
5 seconds ago
is not with us tonight. But I'll tell you about the Phillies. Everybody's freaking out that they're in last place. They're only 4.5 games out. They're playing without 2 of their big thumpers in their lineup. And the last 2 games, if you talk to people around this club, they'll tell you that's as good as they've played back-to-back.
Charlie Manuel thinks that, and the reason for that, they have good hitting throughout their lineup, and they've come up with key hits over the last 2 games.
And as you look at the Cardinals, they got out to a great start. They've stumbled in the month of May. Tonight they've got a left-hander. If you haven't seen much of him, you should like him. He works in a hurry. Jaime Garcia. Mike Matheny, the Cardinal manager, said he's got no-hit stuff every time out.
Yeah, I guess you could say the Cardinals starters and their bullpen riding high in April, trying not to be shot down in May, and the guy that you're not going to be shot down with is Jaime Garcia.
We get ready for baseball here tonight. The first 2 games of this set have been action-packed. They had a slugfest on Thursday. They had a hit fest here last night. And we get set for baseball. Can the Phillies make it 3 in a row here in St. Louis on Baseball Night in America? Stadium in the forecast, Saturday night baseball, and Jaime Garcia leads the Cardinals onto the field. The Cardinals 4 games over 500. The Phils are 1 game over 500 and both right in the thick of the race in each of their divisions. The opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser tonight. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. They are made right down the street here in St. Louis. And the starting lineup for the Phillies brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Charlie Manuel came up with this when he woke up this morning, and it's a little different. There is no Carlos Ruiz in the lineup. Rollins leads it off. Placido Polanco, former Cardinal, bats second. Hunter Pence hits third. He was the hero last night. Then it's Wigginton cleaning up. Victorino in center. Mayberry Jr. is in left. Freddie Galvis has really gotten better week by week. He's at second. Brian Schneider does the catching, and Kyle Kendrick does the pitching, and he bats ninth. And doing that for the Cardinals is the left-hander Jaime Garcia, who's 3-2, an ERA of 3.5. And let's learn more about this 25-year-old left-hander.
He's got to establish inside so he can pitch away effectively. The ball runs all over the place, says Mike Matheny, the Cardinal manager. And what Jaime will do is try to exploit the Phillies' weakness versus lefties. They are 3-9 against left-handed starters this year.
Phillies won the game on Thursday 10-9. They won last night 5-3 in 10 innings. And Garcia, who, as we said, works quickly, deals a ball up and away to Jimmy Rollins, and we're underway. The Phillies this year are 3-9 in games started by left-handers against them. The 1-0 is in the same spot, 2-0, with the catching tonight done by Tony Cruz, the backup to Yadier Molina, two of the best catchers certainly in the National League, maybe all of baseball. On these two rosters, neither one playing tonight. There's a strike, and it's 2-1.
And one of the reasons may be that collision at home plate in the 8th inning last night when Molina was forced to run over Carlos Ruiz. Neither in the lineup tonight.
Here is a 2-1 pitch. Fly ball in the air to left. Will it carry? Back is Holiday at the wall. A leap and a catch. And one down here in the first inning as Jimmy Rollins hit it about as far as he could without getting it out. A loud start to this night.
Mike Matheny, in his first year of managing, knows that in order to play a solid left field, get a taller guy out there. Good play by Holiday.
Tough to tell whether that ball would have gone out. He was a bit in front of the wall, but it would have been close.
I think it would have.
And it's 1 out. And with the bases empty, here is Polanco, who has always been a good hitter against left-handed pitching, except for this season, and he takes a strike from Jaime Garcia.
Some track record, 13 years of over 300, and this year only 220.
Facing Garcia with Hunter Pence on deck. Rollins came so close to his second home run of the season and his first since becoming a father. Missed 3 games on what they call paternity leave, which they have in Major League Baseball these days, and that was not around in the 60s and the 70s when you were putting on the gear for the Cardinals and Phillies.
My oldest daughter was 3 days old when I first saw her in 1965.
Here's a strikeout for out number 2 as Garcia flips a changeup, and he gets Polanco for his first strikeout of the night. Here's the defensive alignment for the Cardinals, brought to you by Scott. You know, Holiday's in left, Schumacher to his left, Beltran to his left. Freeze, Green, Descalso, Matt Adams, the rookie first baseman, a big-bodied first baseman, a lot of power. And Tony Cruz does the catching with Garcia on the mound. And here is Hunter Pence, who admitted that he guessed right on last night's game-winning home run into right of Jason Mott. Upper 90s fastball. He was looking for it, and he popped it out of here for a 5-3 win.
Not only looking for it, but looking where it was to be. Outside, he drove it over the right field fence.
Here's an 0-1 from Garcia. Hard hit, base hit through the left side past a diving David Freese. And the guy who's got 12 go-ahead RBIs this season as that ball trickles away, but Adams backs it up. That's the most in Major League Baseball, and last night's hero is on for the Phillies, and it keeps the inning alive for Ty Wigginton.
There has been an epidemic of first pitch mongers in baseball this year after 2 months, saying that it's wrong to swing at the first pitch. Well, last night Hunter Pence swung at the first pitch and hit the game-winning home run. We'll tell you what batters throughout the major leagues are hitting. I'll tell you right now.
That one down and away for ball one.
When major league hitters put the ball in play this year, they're batting .327 through the first 2 months of the season.
On the first pitch.
On the first pitch, right.
With multiple home runs.
About 16% of the home runs that have been hit on the first pitch, as last night's was by Pence.
But you don't like it when you are in the Sarasota estate watching MLB extra innings and jumping from broadcast to broadcast, second-guessing analysts all over the country saying don't swing at the first pitch.
No, it's not that I'm second-guessing them. I mean, what are you supposed to do with the first pitch? Fall behind with it? If the ball's the fat part of the plate, you're supposed to take it and fall behind 0-1? Isn't it tougher to hit when you're behind in the count? The answer is yes.
Counts 2-0 on Ty Wigginton, who's hitting .246, 3 homers, 16 RBIs. That's us. You're you. And there's no score here in the first as Wigginton gets under it and skies it into center, and he did that on the third pitch. Take that to the bank.
Yeah.
Matt Holliday took one away from Jimmy Rollins to start the night. A leap, a catch, no score after a half. Starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you've got to live Moss. It's Skip Schumacher getting set to go. Tyler Green bats second. He's the shortstop. Matt Holliday is in left. Beltran's had a great month of May, even though he's missed some games with a bad right knee. He cleans up. David Freese at third. Matt Adams, the rookie, at first. Tony Cruz, the catcher. Daniel Descalso's at second. And Jaime Garcia, who can hit for a pitcher, batting ninth. And here are the numbers for Kyle Kendrick, Tim, who started the year in the bullpen, but now he has made 5 starts. This is number 6, and here are his stats.
Yeah, and that 0-4 record, very deceptive because the Phillies have not scored for him. He's pitching better than the record. Must use his changeup. That is a key pitch, and like most, he's got to stay ahead.
He has a record of 0-4. He's got good numbers in his career against the Cardinals, however, 4-1. And the guy who was the 7th-round pick for the Phillies in 03 deals a strike to start his night. So a little different look to the Cardinal lineup as well. With no Molina, no Furcal. That's up the middle, and Schumacher is on to start the night with a base hit. A guy who is a .341 career hitter against Philadelphia pitching is on to start the Cardinal first. Here's the Phillies defense brought to you by Scott's. Mayberry in left, Victorino in center, Hunter Pence in right. Polanco, Rollins, Freddie Galvis is the second baseman. Wigginton at first, and the battery of Ryan Schneider and Kyle Kendrick is Tyler Green, who shows flashes of brilliance, digs his way in with one on, nobody out. There's Mike Matheny, who watched Tyler Green hit a game-winning home run in the bottom of the 8th inning on Monday night against San Diego. Cardinals swept that series, and then they've lost the first 2 games of this set to Philadelphia, and they're in second place.
Tyler Green came up as a shortstop. I think all Cardinal fans know that, but he moved to second base, and I think that move to second base had people thinking that he should produce better offensively, whereas if he were still a shortstop, it'd be great numbers, 4 home runs and even a .239 average. But he's moved to second, and people say, well, he's got a hit there. He is a good ball player, a good middle infielder for the Cardinals.
And he can run. Probably the fastest guy on this club. And a guy who in the stolen base department is 6 out of 7, a changeup, and that's the pitch Tim was talking about during the scouting report. Now Tyler Green falls in the hole 1 and 2.
Good changeup by Kyle Kendrick. Rich Doobie, the pitching coach for the Philadelphia Phillies, does not teach the splitter, a very popular pitch.
Here's a swing and a miss on a good pitch down and in by Kendrick, and it's 1 on 1 out.
It's always good to follow the changeup with something hard, and Kendrick goes in off the plate to get Green.
So Green strikes out. The batter will be Matt Holliday with Beltran on deck. The Cardinals got good news yesterday when they found out that the procedure done on the right knee of Lance Berkman did not find any ACL damage. He's got meniscus and cartilage tears. They took care of that, and Berkman is thrilled. He believes he'll be back sometime in August. Here's the injury on a routine play at first base. And he came out limping, got up, went back down, needed help. That was last Saturday in the 2nd inning, and Berkman thought that might be it if he had ACL damage. Here's a fly ball into center. Back to get it is Victorino. 2 out in the inning. We'll give you tonight's Ford Go Further keys to the game.
For the Phillies, 3 good games in a row. You bet they were. For the Cardinals, finished the month of May better than they started it. We were kidding in the opening, riding high in April, shot down in May, and that's been the pitching staff of the St. Louis Cardinals in May.
And in particular, the bullpen that's got a big ERA in May of 5.64. The Cardinals made a change. They sent Fernando Salas out. He was such a big part of the Cardinals' win last year. They brought up a guy named Chucky Fick. Salas had 24 saves as the Cardinals won their 11th World Championship last year, and Salas basically took over for Ryan Franklin. He lost his closer's job in April. Here comes the 0-1 pitch to Beltran, who's been a great addition to this team. That's into the corner. Schumacher will come back as that ball is fouled by inches down the right field line. Pence makes the play, but it's a long second strike.
That was a slider inside, and as Joe said, just foul. Wow. I think Schumacher scores on that ball if it's a fair ball, but Kendrick happy to do the umpire.
And the count 0-2. Schumacher back with sweat dripping off his nose on a 94-degree night, and the humidity is way up. You see the numbers for Beltran this season, #1 in the National League in home runs with 14. And he looks at one down and away. The count 1-2. In essence, he's the replacement for Albert Pujols in this lineup. Pujols hit his 450th home run last year of his career, his 6th of the season for the Angels. Beltran has been much better than that for the Cardinals. There's that good changeup, and a pop-up to Rollins ends the inning. Leadoff hit by Schumacher after 1 in St. Louis. Phillies and Cardinals, no score. Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And by MasterCard. Shop and pay your bills online with MasterCard prepaid cards. Beautiful shot of the American flag on Memorial Day weekend. We are in St. Louis in a ballpark that is enjoying its 7th season. The Cardinals opened this park in 2006. They beat the Tigers that year in the World Series. Last year they beat the Phillies in the divisional round and then went on, obviously, to beat the Rangers in one of the most exciting World Series that you and I have covered, and in particular one of, if not the best game that certainly I've ever read about in World Series history, Game 6.
Boy, unbelievable.
Here is a ball up and away, now a strike to Victorino, 1-1.
Prior to last year's World Series, we were both in agreement that the 2001 World Series, after 9-1-1, that the Yankees lost to the Diamondbacks was the best World Series we had done, and I think last year bumped it out of first place into second.
Yeah, for the Cardinals, in the story, you know it by now, but to get past the Phillies, a team that won 102 games in the division series, they beat Milwaukee, a divisional rival, and then to get past Texas, coming back from nearly being out in Game 6 2 times in both the 10th and the 9th to win it in the 11th. One of the most thrilling times Tim and I have ever sat and watched a World Series game. In this MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Clubs of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. Learn more, visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Here's John Mayberry Jr., who grew up around the game. Father played in the big leagues with the Kansas City Royals, and after Victorino popped up, ball 1 to Mayberry, hitting .232. After Mayberry, it's Freddie Galvis, who's had a great month of May. That's Freese, the hero in that Game 6 for the Cardinals. 2 out. And the World Series MVP. Let's go to Matt Vasgersian, our DirecTV MVP for Game Break.
Joe, Wild win in Arlington. Jays and Rangers in the 13th. Omar Vizquel breaks a 5-5 tie with an RBI single. They have since added one more, have the Toronto Blue Jays. The Rangers at one point hit back-to-back home runs for the 7th time in franchise history. The Jays lead by 2 in the 13th. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Matt. They're bunched up in the AL East. Baltimore started the day with a 1-game lead. Toronto 5 out. The Yankees won today, 4.5 out at the start of the day. But they're bunched up everywhere across baseball as Garcia fools Galvis with pitch down and away, and the count 1-1. As we mentioned, the Phillies are in last place, but they're only 4.5 out. The Nationals won earlier today at Atlanta, 2nd straight. They've beaten the Braves. That's a change up in the dirt, and the count 1-2 on Freddie Galvis, who is getting better. I said by the week, it may be by the day here at the big league level. He is, it seems, a future star.
In the eyes of Charlie Manuel, the manager of the Phillies, he is fun to watch, but not then.
Not then, as he strikes out for the 2nd strikeout for Garcia after an inning and a half in St. Louis. Cards coming up, no score. St. Louis, where it's hot and muggy, and they love the Cardinals like they love the Phillies in Philadelphia. It's baseball night in America. It's presented by Chevrolet. And with our director, Bill Webb, the best in the business, and our producer, Pete Macheska, the best in the business. Joe and Tim with you as we go to the bottom of the second. David Freese, Matt Adams, and Tony Cruz. 5, 6, and 7 hitters for the Cardinals, who are a half game behind Cincinnati, who lost last night. But they had won 6 in a row going into that game. They lost to Colorado 6-3 last night. But that Cincinnati team, if you haven't looked or haven't paid attention, they've got all that young talent.
Oh, man.
You look at the division, and now they've settled on Aroldis Chapman as their closer, and he's been virtually unhittable.
He has 43 strikeouts this season, and he's given up 7 hits. Think about that. 43 Ks and 7 hits. He's only walked 7.
And not one earned run.
No.
Here's a strike to David Freese. There are the numbers. I talked to their general manager, Walt Jocketty, who for years was the GM here in St. Louis, and he said he and members of the organization sat down with Chapman at the end of last year, and they said, look, we spent a lot of money to bring you to the Cincinnati Reds. It is time to settle in and go to work. And he had a good offseason. He calmed down. He took something off his fastball. He's not trying to throw it through a wall every time. He's still in the upper 90s, and he's corralled what he has to the point where he's as good as there is. Here's a shattered bat on a base hit up the middle. David Freese adds to a .268 average, and he's on to start the second.
That slider off the plate. David Freese hits it right off the end of the bat, breaks the bat, and as anybody knows, there are plenty of bats. There aren't a lot of hits. You'll make that trade every day.
At this level.
Yes.
The minor leagues may be a different story.
Yeah.
But up here, they'll deliver them on a chariot. If you ask for more bats, they show up in your locker or in your little stall down in the dugout. Here's Matt Adams. Went to Slippery Rock, a product of Slippery Rock.
Excellent school, about 45 minutes from Pittsburgh.
So Western Pennsylvania, and he's believed to be the first product of that program to make it to the big leagues. And he's a guy, obviously a big-bodied first baseman, but he's pretty nimble, and he's got, at least has had the ability to hit for average and a ton of power in the minor leagues.
He can hit.
First pitch, a strike, and now a ground ball up the middle, off the pitcher Kendrick, out at second and safe at first. Kendrick took a hit away, and the Phillies almost turned it into a double play.
Kendrick with a skate save with the NHL still playing, and a low throw to first. Galvis can't get anything on it. Too much for Rollins to do, and it didn't get to him quickly.
It's a force-out 1-6-4. Kendrick to Rollins and then to Galvis, and no chance to turn 2. So 1 on 1 out. The batter is Tony Cruz, who lives in the shadow of Yadier Molina.
It's a long shadow, too.
A guy who has re-upped with the Cardinals. They signed Molina to a long-term deal. And Mike Matheny, who was a catcher himself and one of the better defensive catchers in his day, which wasn't that long ago. And there is Yadier Molina right in the middle. We'll tell you, we've just got to force him almost to sit down, and it's up to Matheny to try and pick his spots when to not put Molina behind the plate. Cruz flies one into right, and that'll be easy for Pence if he can find it. They had trouble with fly balls last night, 2 out. And with 1 on 2 down, Descalso is coming up. Today's game presented by Chevrolet, sponsored by Bud Light Lime. Summer is calling. If you want to experience summer before the rest of the country, come to St. Louis.
You know, Joe, you were talking about Yadier Molina. I think with his improvement hitting over the last 3 years, he has become the best Cardinal catcher ever. Ted Simmons was by far the best hitter.
How can you bring that up with 2 out?
I got out of it.
Out at second base.
I got out of it.
You know, you were pretty good too.
Well, Mac, come on, not in the class of those guys.
Back after this from your local Fox station. We showed him before. Now in the other dugout, since a 33-year-old catcher that is rapidly becoming one of the best in the business as well, and I would say the early returns on 2012, he's having the best season of any catcher in the game. He is deserving at this pace, certainly, but even if he tapers off some, of his first All-Star game nod.
If the All-Star game started tomorrow, Carlos Ruiz would be the starting catcher for the National League.
And what he has done behind the plate, at the plate, Ruiz is number 3 in the league, hitting .362. And that's what he's done among catchers. He's first in average, third in home runs, second in RBIs, first in slugging percentage, and a real leader as the count's gone to 2-1 on Brian Schneider, who's at the plate and batting for Ruiz and playing for Ruiz tonight. The 2-1 pitch is in the dirt. 3 balls and a strike. So it's Schneider, Kendrick, and Rollins. Last night in the 8th inning on what could have been a game-deciding play was a major collision at the plate between Yadier Molina and Carlos Ruiz. That makes the count full, 3-2. But it's what happened, I think, in our estimation, and Steve Horn, our editorial consultant, was talking about it when we got to the park today. Carlos Ruiz and what he did in the 10th speaks to the kind of player he is.
Yeah, the at-bat after the collision.
Count still full. Schneider trying to get on in front of Kendrick. And then back to the top, Jimmy Rollins, who almost rode one out of here for a home run to lead off. But Holiday went up and grabbed it at the wall and left. Here's a shot into the gap in right center field. That ball will hit the wall, and Schneider's got a leadoff double to start this 3rd inning. A rocket off the bat of Brian Schneider.
You know, that foul ball before, Beltran was toward the line, and he was ambling back to his position and really wasn't prepared for the ball in right center field. And that's where the Cardinals want to play Brian Schneider, because he's not a pull hitter. I don't think Beltran was ready for that ball, and a lot of times pitchers will give outfielders a chance to get ready, but he wasn't ready when that pitch was thrown.
I think you would agree, though, with as hard as that ball was hit.
Yeah, okay.
He's not going to catch it, but it is something you have to worry about with a guy that works as quickly as Garcia.
That's the point. Sometimes he's got to step back and make sure that the outfielders are ready.
Here's a bunt foul as Kendrick tries to get Schneider over to third. We're going to show you that collision at the plate, and we'll shelve that for a moment as Kendrick, who's 1 for 8, swinging the bat, as Adams pulled in at first, and Freeze is at the front of the cutout over at third. Phillies trying to jump out in front again here tonight, as they've done each of the first 2 games, and that bunt is perfect. Perez has one play, rather Cruz, and out at first. On the sacrifice is Kendrick. Here's that collision last night in the 8th inning, and it's about as squared up a collision as you're going to see. And then in the 10th inning, with his team up by 2, look at the hustle by Carlos Ruiz, who was the recipient of that shoulder and forearm from Molina 2 innings before.
A little bit tougher to do after you've been hammered the inning before.
Sacrifice was good off the bat of Kendrick, and here's Rollins with the RBI chance. He's driven in only 8.
This is a good play by Matheny, bringing the infield in a tie game in the 3rd inning.
Breaking ball drops in for a strike.
Taking a chance mildly, but it's worth the chance to take. Bring the infield in against a guy like Rollins with the go-ahead run at third.
And that runner is Schneider, the catcher for the Phillies. And here comes an 0-1 pitch to Jimmy Rollins. Little pop-up on the infield, and in foul ground, it's Adams, 2 out.
You wonder if the infield weren't in, if Adams would have had a chance to make that play. Might have been a tougher play for Tony Cruz, the catcher. See, the infield's in. Mike Adams not fleet of foot, but fast enough for the infield in to make the play. Matt Adams, I beg your pardon.
Now runner at third, 2 out, and Polanco, who struck out his first time, will try and help the Phillies do something with that leadoff double. Off the bat of Schneider, now he's over there with 2 out. Down and in, ball 1. This is a rematch of last year's division series, but it's really a rematch in name only. First of all, we're in May. There was a lot more on the line back then. Secondly, there's no La Russa. There's no Albert Pujols. Right now, there's no Berkman. There's no Chris Carpenter. There's no Ryan Howard. And there's no Chase Utley. But they've been entertaining games, the first 2, and now here we are in game 3 of this 4-game set. Garcia gets around that leadoff double. After 2.5 in St. Louis, no score. America. It's presented by Chevrolet. We're glad you're with us. A Phillies fan here in St. Louis. And a Phillies team that's won 5 straight divisional titles under the guidance of Charlie Manuel. He won it all back in 2008. He is in his 8th season with this Philadelphia club, and of all the managers we talked to, he is one of our favorites to get information from and just sitting around talking about the game, his career, his hitters, the opposition. He is a baseball lifer. As Garcia, who has 6 hits this season, checks on Rollins, 1 out.
Joe, you talked about the St. Louis Cardinals only a half a game out. The Phillies are in last place. And we checked throughout the history of the Cardinals. They're always in it. I mean, always. And you could say the same thing about the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Brooklyn/Los Angeles Dodgers have finished last since 1901 2 times. That's remarkable. The Cardinals only 9 times. And the Phillies last in the American League 32 times in last place. Some of those horrible teams in the 20s, 30s, and 40s.
1 out, nobody on. Mike Matheny in his first year as manager of the Cardinals. Good changeup from Kendrick. And then he coughs it up, picks it up, gets the out, 2 out. And let's go to Matt for a DirecTV game break.
Joe, what a finish in Arlington. Toronto had scored 2 in the 13th to take a 7-5 lead, but after an Elvis Andrus double made it a 1-run game. Josh Hamilton wins it on his major league leading 20th home run, 53rd RBI. Rangers snatch him back. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Joe and Tim.
How about 20 home runs, 53 RBIs for the free agent to be Josh Hamilton on a first-place Texas team starting the day 6 up in the AL West. Here's Green. He grounds one to Jimmy Rollins. Rollins gets the out, and that is a 3-pitch inning. And no score after 3 in St. Louis. Weeds to the root so they don't come back. And by Ford, go further. Going further on Tuesday night in a 4-0 win over San Diego is our guest for this 4th inning. There's no score in this game. It'll be Pence, Wigginton, and Victorino, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Phillies. And Adam Wainwright is back and coming off certainly his best start of the season. And first of all, Adam, thanks for spending a moment with us tonight. And you're preparing for your start tomorrow by talking with us on Fox. So nice work.
No scouting reports, though.
No scout. We won't even go into that. I want to go back in time and talk about Tuesday night and in what was an emotional win. I was watching the interview. You were choked up, and I think rightly so and understandably so, for what you have battled through to come back and have it all come together on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just a long road. It's not something you plan on doing out there in front of everybody and on TV. Is choking up. I promise you that. But I was just overcome with emotion and just a huge feeling of how blessed I was, and the hard work that I put in to get back to where I am now was, I don't know, man, it was just too much for words.
Yeah, we should point out, for those who don't know, that you battled your way back, missed all of last season with Tommy John surgery, and Freese misses that ball to his left on a rocket hit by Hunter Pence, and likely a hit. If it is, it's his second of the night. And I would imagine there were times during your rehabilitation process, and that is a base hit for Pence, that you wondered if you would ever be the Adam Wainwright that we've seen in years past, a 20-game winner and a guy who's been a closer and a starter in the big leagues.
Well, I tried not to, especially last year. You think you're going to come back, and the first pitch you throw in the big leagues, you're going to throw 100 miles an hour, and then you're going to come back even stronger. And the truth of the matter is, it takes a little bit of time. It takes more time than you wish it did. But this year, I started out the season, and I wasn't competing like I wanted to. My focus was not there, and my body was not repeating its delivery enough to throw good quality pitches every time. And so I did start to get kind of frustrated. I kept battling and working and grinding, and I'm not out of the woods yet. I've still got a ways to go in my preparation for each game. But I did start to let thoughts creep in this year, like maybe I'll be a little different. You never know. And last game, even though it's just one game, last game was huge validation for me.
Yeah, Adam, there was talk about the loneliness of a long-distance runner. There's also loneliness for a rehabbing pitcher, too, right?
Man, gosh, I'll tell you, I don't know how I'd have done it without my faith in God. I really leaned on that and just tried to be positive, tried to come into this park every day and make a positive impact for this team and do that, be that role. Because really, what else can you do? No one wants a guy sitting around pouting every day, that's for sure.
Here comes a 2-0. That is ripped foul off the bat of Ty Wigginton with Pence at first and nobody out. Do you feel more pressure this year without your co-ace, as they call him around here, Chris Carpenter, so far not ready to chip in at the big league level?
I wouldn't say I feel more pressure. I mean, we certainly need Chris Carpenter, no doubt about that. He's been my mentor and my biggest teacher in this game so far. So of course I want to see him back out on that field. He'll help us, no doubt about that. He's probably the toughest competitor I've played with for sure. But yeah, I think if you asked each and every one of these pitchers on the mound and on this team, I think they would all tell you that when they take the ball every fifth day, they expect to be great no matter who's on the team with them.
Tell us about this guy we're watching tonight, Jaime Garcia, who's got just fantastic stuff.
Fantastic stuff. And, just out there battling. He's got so much movement. He's hard to play catch with. Sinking it, cutting it on your hands, and down at your shins and all that kind of stuff. So he's a tough at bat, no doubt about that. Just got to keep that ball on the ground against this good Philly team.
Tough at bat and tough to catch too, huh, Adam?
No doubt.
And let me ask you one more thing, and that's about tonight's catcher. We've heard so much about Yadier Molina. We know how terrific he is. But tell us about the guy behind the plate, Tony Cruz, and what he does behind for a pitcher.
I think if you look at Tony from the side and the way his mannerisms are, catching a lot of the things he does, he looks like Yadier.
There's strike three called, Adam, on the inside corner, and a big strikeout for Garcia, number 3 on the night.
And so, I mean, he looks like Yadier because Yadier is such a great teacher. I mean, I don't think we've seen a better catcher since I've been in the game anyways than Yadier Molina.
That's a pretty positive comment right there. If you look like Yadier Molina, that's pretty good.
Well, I'm not saying he is Yadier Molina, because there's only one of those, but I'm saying he's doing a great job, fantastic job, calls the game well, moves around well, receives well, blocks the ball well. I mean, what more do you need out of a catcher?
Well, Adam, we thank you for joining us here tonight. Good luck tomorrow. You take on a pretty good one in Roy Halladay, and that should be a fun way to wrap up this series with Philadelphia. These have been good games so far, and tonight looks like another one.
Yeah, I think you got two quality teams out here with great pitching staffs on both sides and good lineups to boot. So it's going to be a good battle. We look forward to it, though.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Adam Wainwright, who's coming off a win, and former 20-game winner, a guy who has spun the last pitch of a World Series winner back in 2006 when he was the closer here for the Cardinals. It's when Isringhausen was injured. That's a pitch down and in. The count 2-0, and Garcia's been falling behind. He's done so each of the first three hitters of this fourth inning. He's allowed a leadoff hit, third hit by the Phillies in this game, and they have Victorino at the plate, who is ahead on the count 2-0. Fly ball in the air to left. Holiday back to his left. It's over his head. One hops the wall, and Hunter Pence will come all the way around to score. It's an RBI double for Victorino and the Phillies, as they have in each of the first two games. Strike first tonight. A single, a one-out double, and the Phillies are on top, 1-0 here in the fourth inning.
That line drive just going right through the humidity and over the head of Matt Holliday. All you have to do is check the outfielders sometimes. When they look toward the fence, that means they've got trouble.
And Pence scored easily all the way from first. And Hunter's been right in the mix of it the last two games. Last night, the game-winning home run. Tonight, he's 2 for 2 with a run scored. The batter is Mayberry. Takes a pitch in the dirt. Hunter Pence, who had that base hit that went right past the glove of David Freese over at third to start the inning, is a career .311 hitter against the Cardinals, and he used to reside in this Central Division, playing for the Houston Astros.
Houston Astros only one game under 500, by the way. They have played very well for Brad Mills and themselves so far this year.
And at the knees to Mayberry, 1 ball, 1 strike. Phillies now have 4 hits to the Cardinals 2. By the way, when Halladay takes the mound tomorrow in the finale of this 4-game set for Philadelphia, think of where the Phillies are without the big bats in their lineup. The injuries to Utley and Ryan Howard, and their big 2 at the front end of their rotation. Here's a ground ball to Tyler Green. Gathers it, throws for the out, 2 out. So far, Lee does not have a win, and Halladay has an ERA of 3.58, a .500 record, and that's the highest ERA Halladay's had since he was with Toronto back in May of '09. And yet, throughout all that, the Phillies in a tightly contested NL East are only 4.5 games out. Here's Galvis. Freddie struck out his first time. Garcia fooled him with a couple of changeups. This one drops low, ball 1.
You heard Matt talk about Omar Vizquel getting a game-winning hit. Well, Charlie Manuel talking about how much Galvis reminds him of Omar Vizquel, and what a compliment that is. 22-year-old second baseman for the Phillies.
Switch hitter. Came up as a shortstop throughout the minor league system, and going into this past offseason for Philadelphia, the question was, would Jimmy Rollins sign a contract extension? He did. 4 years, $38 million deal. But they didn't know what they had in Freddie Galvis, that he was ready to contribute as he has already, filling in for the injured Utley. That is foul. You look at some of the things he's been able to do defensively. You go back to Wednesday playing short for Rollins and the catch that he made, and then last night the relay throw from Victorino to Galvis to cut down Yadier Molina at the plate to keep the game tied in the bottom of the 8th.
That was a tough throw to make to Ruiz when the throw from Hunter Pence in right field was low to Galvis. He is something, this guy.
That is a bit up and away in the count, 2-1. For Charlie Manuel, who saw plenty of Omar Vizquel back in Cleveland. That's high praise for any young infielder. And among rookies, he is tied for the most in Major League Baseball in RBIs, and the bulk of his hitting work and producing runs has come here in the month of May.
Charlie telling us last week that he was very familiar with Galvis from his 17-year-old with the Phillies. He signed when he was 16. He's from Venezuela. Charlie impressed even 5 years ago, seeing the teenager.
Now 22 years old, signed in 06. Sal Agustinelli found him. Thought he was headed to AAA, but here he is in the big leagues replacing Chase Utley. 3-1 pitch. That gets away from the catcher Cruz. Over to third goes Victorino, who has the only RBI, and the count's full on Freddie Galvis. And it's a wild pitch on a swinging strike by Galvis.
Remember our scouting report, we were talking about how Garcia's ball moves all over the place. Well, there was a swing and miss right there. A swing and miss and a pass ball on Tony Cruz. Tough to catch.
Under at third, 2 out, 3-2 pitch to Galvis. And a foul tip that Cruz can't hang on to, so the inning will continue. St. Louis in the bottom of this fourth will have the heart of their lineup. Holiday, Beltran, and Freese. Anybody gets on the rookie Matt Adams. Garcia ready with another 3-2 and a pop-up. On the infield, Tyler Green is there, and that ends the inning, which started with a hit by Pence. RBI double. That guy, Victorino, 1-0 Philly after 3.5. The red, white, and blue, and we are into the bottom of the fourth inning. Phillies have the game's only run. A run on 4 hits. RBI belongs to Shane Victorino. And Holiday, who flied to center his first time up, as you look at Carlos Ruiz, who's made his way down to the dugout on this hot night. If you're going to get the day off and you exert as much energy as Molina and Ruiz, you could not fault him at all on a humid night like this to stay up in the air conditioning for as long as possible.
That's right, because both of them will be back in there tomorrow.
Here's a fastball for a strike to Holiday, and we're underway in the bottom of the fourth. And the right-hander Kendrick, 27-year-old from Houston, Texas, off a tough 2-1 loss Monday to the Nationals, is pitching well. That's fouled out of play off to the right, and the count 0-2. In that game on Monday, 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits. He worked his way into and out of trouble for the most part. A series that was won by Washington 2 games out of 3, and the Phillies had to turn to their ace, Cole Hamels, to avoid a sweep on Wednesday. Therefore, Hamels is the one not working in this 4-game set in St. Louis. That's up and away, ball 1.
Last time out, Kendrick was falling behind the National hitters. But tonight, for the most part, he's been ahead of all the Cardinals.
So far, 12 of 12 on first pitch strikes. And the count 1-2 on Holiday. Just outside, 2-2.
The Jim Palmer line 30 years ago when he said a lot of things about the art of pitching. One of the key things is get ahead and expand the strike zone. Get ahead and expand the strike zone. The plate's 17 inches across. But if you are ahead 0-2, 1-2, that plate becomes about 20 inches wide.
And not just side to side. Palmer lived and exploited the upper reaches.
That's right.
2-2 pitch. Fouled left side. Next week, where are we on baseball night in America? The Yankees and Detroit. That's where we'll be. Cubs, Giants, Twins, Indians, Diamondbacks, Padres, and the Reds and Astros. Another 2-2 pitch to Matt Holliday, leading off, and he strikes out. Strikeout number 2 for the right-hander Kendrick. Let's go to Matt for a game break.
Joe, Angels and Mariners, if you were wondering how Albert Pujols would fare in his first looks at Felix Hernandez, second at-bat of the day and his 4th home run in his last 5 games. Somebody's getting hot. So are the Angels, trying to win their 5th straight. Back to Joe and Tim.
All right, Matt, here is Beltran, who is fooled on a changeup and pops it up. 2 out. So as you look at a highlight of Albert Pujols, we'll give you the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat, and we'll look at a comparison of Albert Pujols on the left and the Cardinals first baseman, and it's been a revolving door over there because of injury. It's been Berkman and Alan Craig and Matt Adams and Matt Carpenter. Just as the Cardinals can count on their first baseman, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results.
It's not even June, and the Cardinals have already had 7 first basemen. 7.
Here's a pitch over but low to David Freese. Carpenter has the most. Berkman only 13 games. Alan Craig was taking the cover off the ball until he went down with a bad hamstring. As Freese is fooled on that Kendrick changeup, and that pitch has worked so far tonight. The count 1-1.
He has used it masterfully.
With 2 out, nobody on. A 1-1 pitch is inside. David Freese was given Monday and Tuesday off. He was in a terrible slump. At that time was 0 for his last 14 and 3 out of 34. He got 2 nights off, and he came back Wednesday, homered. Thursday he hit a home run. As Matheny considers that one of the bigger parts of his job, to realize who needs a break. You wonder, though, with the injuries they have, if he's going to be, he being Matheny, tempted to overuse some of these veterans to try and fill out that lineup game after game. Here's a 2-2. Fouled away.
I think anybody who saw last year's World Series, understanding how much power David Freese has to right field and center field. Winning game 6 with a home run to center after tying it in the 9th inning. Ball hit just over the head of Nelson Cruz.
Here is a ground ball slowly hit to third. Polanco has to wait but gets freeze. And another 1-2-3 inning for Kendrick, who has retired 9 straight. Into the 5th, 1-0 Philadelphia. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Chevrolet. As this game gets into the 5th inning on a Saturday night, it'll be the bottom part of the order. Schneider, Kendrick, and then back to the top, Rollins. And after Brian Schneider does something, unless it's earth moving, we will go into our Wayback Machine and talk about 1966.
One of the more remarkable feats in the history of the game, and also one of the most remarkable pitching feats by the St. Louis Cardinals.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Schneider, who had a double his first time. That's a fair ball. That's 1 out. So Cardinals pitcher Larry Jaster shut the Dodgers out 5 times in 1966. Second pitcher of the modern era to do so. Grover Cleveland Alexander, the other one. Jaster won 11 games that season. So let me go back. He shut out the Dodgers 5 times.
All 5 appearances against the Dodgers, shutouts.
And he beat teams around the National League only 11 times. That was the highest win total of his career. In 7 big league seasons, he totaled 35 wins.
Spectacular accomplishment. The only other pitcher, as you saw, Grover Cleveland Alexander, but he had 8 starts in 1916 for the Phillies to beat the Cincinnati Reds. Interestingly, Alexander, as fate would have it, was with the Cardinals for 5 years, 1926 to 1930, or through 1930. It was a remarkable achievement because Jaster did it, for the most part, with 1 pitch, a fastball, over 90% of the time.
Here's a foul off the bat of Kendrick. And the count 2-2. You caught all 5, right?
Caught all 5, yeah. 45 innings of shutout ball.
So when you list all the great pitchers you caught, Gibson, Carlton, at least in 66 against the Dodgers, Jaster has to be on the list.
Absolutely.
And here's the call from the great Harry Carey.
High fly, just be it. Jaster did it. Jaster did it. He shut him out again. The 5th straight time. Don't ever tell me there's anything impossible. You would think the Cardinals just clinched the pennant. Holy cow.
What a call.
How great is that call? And you could see that text going by, and that's text from the widow of Grover Cleveland Alexander in a letter written to Larry Jaster prior to the last shutout, right?
Right. On August 20th, 1966, Grover Cleveland Alexander's wife sent him that letter and wished him luck in the 5th game so he would tie her husband, whom she referred to as Alex.
So there it is, and we don't need to read the exact words of that letter, but an interesting twist. And in that, by the way, as you can see on the envelope, she sent it to Sportsman's Park.
Yeah.
And the letter found its way to the new location in 1966. There's not even a zip code on there. And
no zip.
It made it from the Los Angeles area to St. Louis and to the new ballpark and into the hands of Larry Jaster. Here's a swing and a miss by Rollins. That ends the inning. And by the way, that audio, as you see, no zip code on there. John Miley in the Library of Congress, Packard campus, for the audio visual conservation. And there's Tim back in 66. Compliments of Tops. Sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. It's outside the ballpark here in St. Louis, where inside they just had a dance competition between a Phillies fan. That's not Cliff Lee. Pretty good. And then this guy. That's the St. Louis fan.
Yeah, I think
the deck was stacked there.
Yeah, I do too. That guy's good. Great Fred Bird.
It's like you catting around Philadelphia and New York back in the 60s and 70s. Your blue leisure suit that you
can't do that anymore.
Here is Kendrick, who's been terrific, pitching up and away ball one to Matt Adams, the rookie.
Leisure suits bought in Montreal with those elephant ears on the flare, elephant ear flares.
Here is a 1-0 pitch, and the changeup is nasty tonight for Kendrick. He has Adams out in front. Matt Adams was hitting 349 homers, 27 RBIs in 37 games for Memphis, and a guy who last year hit 32 home runs at Springfield. And here's a squirter off the end of the bat for a leadoff base hit. It's not exactly a shift, but he just hit it right through a big hole on the left side.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not how hard you hit it, but how softly you hit it. Here's a big man hitting a ball as softly as he can for a hit.
You can see Rollins started that play up the middle and had no chance to get there and make a throw. And Adams, who is a, as we said, big-bodied first baseman type, slugger type. As Mike Matheny said, he's been surprised, Matheny has, with the athleticism of Adams, who can run and move around the bag pretty well. Here's Tony Cruz. That is a foul for strike one.
Sometimes you're a victim of how effective the pitch is. That changeup was so good, he didn't center it. Hit it off the end of the bat, right to the right of Jimmy Rollins.
On deck is the number 8 man, Descalso. After Descalso, it's Jaime Garcia, who's got 6 hits and 23 at-bats this season. Right now, it's Cruz. Fly ball in the air to right center, slicing to Pence. 1 on, 1 out. No leisure suits are pictured, but my partner played for both these teams, the Cardinals and the Phillies. We go through the years. There's Topps in 1963 and the Phillies 1970. Looked like Mantle. There's a rather disheveled Tim with big mutton chop. And 1979. There's, you don't like that one?
No. Why? Well, because I was caught with a chew in my mouth.
Oh, yeah, that's not.
No.
Any one of those that we just showed that's
well, I mean,
favorite of yours?
Well, no. I think I guess my favorite was the first one in 1962, taken at Wrigley Field and with the background. That's, I mean, I don't know.
Runner is going on a hit and run, and it's still going to be a double play to end the inning. That saves you from going on camera.
Good.
How about Jimmy Rollins being led to the bag with a runner going, and it turns into a 6-3 double play?
Yeah, if it's no hit and run, there's only 1 out pulled off by the Phillies.
And you would have been on camera uncomfortable. 1-0 after 5. TV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. and by the makers of Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB. This game is zipping by, he says, going into the 6th inning with 14 innings on tap tonight because of that kiss of death on a Saturday night. Polanco first up. He's the number 2 hitter, and he takes a ball up and away from Jaime Garcia. It'll be Polanco, Pence, and Wigginton. If anybody gets on, Victorino. Give you a game summary, and not much has happened. That's off the glove of Freese and down the left field line. Polanco will have at least 2. And that's the way the 6th inning begins, with a ball off the third baseman's glove for a double. And Polanco is on with the 5th hit of the night for the Phillies.
By Freese, and it's a tricky little corner in this ballpark. Freese deflected it, and it's certainly a double once he deflects it against the State Farm sign there. Matt Holliday retrieving it, but an easy double for Polanco.
And that ball boy down the left field line almost
came close.
He would have had to join the Players Union if he picked that up. He would have been in the action. Here's Pence on a pitch down and in, ball 1. Hunter Pence, what he's done this season with runners in scoring position, it's been tough, but that's the way it's been for Philly. When they came off that 6-game winning streak, they lost 4 straight and went 5 for 38, hit 132 with runners in scoring position during that 4-game losing streak, and now they're trying to turn that around and win their 4th straight with a victory here tonight.
We talked about Hunter Pence last week, saying that no power hitter, to me, that I've ever seen, chokes up that much on the bat. That's a good 3.5 inches from the handle.
Tied for 4th with his 11 home runs. Tied for 4th in the National League. And Garcia's fallen behind 3-0 with Wigginton on deck. Remember, no Ruiz in the lineup tonight for the Phillies. He's on the bench. He'll play tomorrow and catch Roy Halladay. The Phillies have Halladay. The Cardinals have Wainwright. The end of this 4-game set. Here's a 3-0. There's a strike. Not only is it a power hitter that's choked up, but really everything is different with Hunter Pence.
Oh, yeah.
The approach, the on-deck action that he has, and some of the balls he goes after.
Yeah, very unorthodox and very quirky. He goes after bad balls even when he's ahead in the count.
Here comes a 3-1 from Garcia. Down and in, a walk, and that's the first of the night for either pitcher. And with 2 on and nobody out, here's the Jeep game summary. Victorino with the only RBI so far. Halladay, Beltran, and Freese 1 for 6. The only hit in that group belongs to David Freese, who's missed a couple of balls over at third base, and Kendrick. This is as good as he's looked this season for Philadelphia.
Again, in the scouting report about Kendrick, we said like most, he's got to stay ahead, and he's done that tonight.
He started the year in the bullpen. He made 3 starts for the injured Cliff Lee, and now he's making his 3rd start for the injured Vance Worley, who has a bone chip in his pitching elbow. That's a foul off the bat of Wigginton, strike 1. They didn't know what they were going to find when they took a look at the right elbow of Vance Worley. Last year was 11-3 and was number 3 in the National League in the Rookie of the Year voting, but it's just a bone chip, and he will pitch his way through it. Here's a pop-up. Out behind second base, and with the infield fly rule in effect, Descalso puts it away, 1 out. And a big out for Garcia to get Wigginton, who does not advance the runners.
You know, when you said, Joe, that it's just bone chips, almost all pitchers have bone chips in their elbows. It's when they interfere with the rotation of the elbow on a breaking ball primarily that causes problems. And they get stuck in between the, well, I'm not a medical man, but that little inset of your elbow, and I'm feeling it right now. But there's no telling. Almost all players have bone chips in their throwing arm.
With 2 on, 1 out, The batter is Victorino, who has an RBI double, and he takes one in the dirt. So go ahead.
What I was doing was feeling this part. There are bone chips there for 35 years. There's no telling how long I've had those things. And almost everybody, I mean, the throwing motion is so violent.
That's why his writing is so awful. Look at that. How'd you like to do a major league game? That's why he's going to the Hall of Fame, and that's the way he writes.
I can read it. That's all that counts.
Hall of Famer.
I mean, I went from bone chips to my handwriting.
Yeah.
That's.
But
anyway, I could feel those chips in there now. But anyway, we'll forget about that.
You got to name them.
Huh?
You got to name them.
I could do that.
One of them's lefty. One of them's Gibby.
It's like the universe. You know, it's like
just you found something in a black hole.
Mars, Venus, Saturn.
2 on, 1 out. Back to the game, please. 2-0 the count on Victorino. We could have a big night. Shane waits and takes over but low 3-0. After Victorino, it's Mayberry. Think about the heart of this lineup and the hitters that the Phillies typically have in these spots with Utley and Howard. Production from the 3, 4, 5 hitters for Philadelphia has been way down this season. Here's a 3-0. It's outside, and that'll load him up. A double, a walk, a pop-up, and now the second walk of the inning. And the bases are loaded for John Mayberry Jr. And here comes Derek Lilliquist, the Cardinal pitching coach, and they're the 3, 4, 5 hitters for Charlie Manuel without those big bats, and they're 14th in the majors in average. That group, 18 home runs, that's 20th, 23rd in RBIs, and the on-base percentage is down in the bottom half of Major League Baseball. 84 pitches for Garcia as he works in the 6th, and he's in his biggest jam of the night. Already down 1-0, bases loaded, 1 out. Mayberry, who has grounded out twice, steps in.
Have to take advantage of the opportunities if you're the Phillies. Chances to score a cheap run or on a hit, both runners. On a tweener, maybe all 3.
Mayberry. Breaking ball had him fooled, and that's strike 1. Like an almost fooled Cruz, the catcher, 0-1.
Watch him get up prematurely. But again, an example of what Mike Matheny said. Very, very difficult to catch. So if you're the runner at third base, you've got to be ready for a wild pitch.
I wonder if Matheny's looking out there thinking, hey, make sure you and Garcia are on the same page with the signs.
Could be an example right there. Mayberry backing out.
0-1 the count, bases loaded, 1 out here in the 6th. Hard hit and a fair ball down the left field line. 1 run scores. Here comes Hunter Pence, and Mayberry has delivered a 2-run double to make it 3-0 Philly here in the 6th. And the walks come back to hurt Jaime Garcia, and John Mayberry has his first hit of the night, and this one past the glove of Freese and down the line.
And one of the walks was at second base. He scores. And the other walk's at third base now with only 1 out.
A 3-0 Philadelphia lead. And Freddie Galvis, the rookie, will step in. So the Phillies, who are trying to get everything back on track here in St. Louis, have won each of the first 2 games of this set. And now trying to have that complete game effort here tonight with Kendrick, and now timely hitting by Mayberry. Here's a play at the plate, maybe. Instead, Green goes to first, and in to score is Victorino. And it's another run. It's an RBI ground out, and it's 4-0 Philadelphia here in the 6th.
You could do this when you have the lead. You can run on contact, and there are very few Major League base runners, as Eduardo Sanchez is warming, but there are very few Major League base runners better at that play than Victorino. Lightning fast from third base, landing on the right foot, and bang, he's gone. Ball got over the head of the pitcher, Garcia, and Victorino scores.
So now still at second is Mayberry, 2 out. It's a 3-run inning, 4-0 lead, and the batter is Schneider. Catcher for the Phillies tonight, Brian Schneider, takes a strike. He's doubled, he's grounded out. Kyle Kendrick all of a sudden has a 4-0 lead with Garcia, the scheduled leadoff man, in the bottom of the inning. So this will likely be it for the Cardinal left-hander. Here's the 0-1. Strike 2. And it was the control that did in Garcia with a pair of walks here in the 6th. 2 doubles in the inning. And RBIs by Mayberry and Galvis, who as a rookie now leads Major League Baseball rookies with 23 RBIs. Here's an 0-2. Galvis hit 191 in April. And he started today hitting 300 in May with 11 extra base hits. And now that was his 18th RBI of this month. Had 3 hits and 3 RBIs in the opener of this set, a 10-9 win by Philadelphia on Thursday. Here's the 0-2. A swing and a miss by Schneider, but big damage done by Philadelphia. 2 hits, 2 walks, 1 left after 5.5 in St. Louis. Some of the pictures from tonight's game. It's 4-0 Philadelphia, trying to take the first 3 games of this 4-game set.
And Cincinnati jumped on Jeremy Guthrie for 4 in the first, and they're adding on. Jay Bruce got the night off yesterday as a result of a 1-for-31 slide, but he doubles in a run to make it 5-1. Top of the 4th, and Tyler Colvin a base hit to cut it to a 5-3 Cincinnati lead. As we know, the Reds started play a half game up on St. Louis at the start of play. 5-3 currently in Cincinnati in the 4th. Back to Joe and Tim.
All right, Matt, thank you. Meanwhile, Colorado is 10 games under 500, 12.5 out at the start of the night, behind the Dodgers, who have the best record in Major League Baseball. And Adrian Chambers will come off the bench and bat for Jaime Garcia. And Garcia's night is finished after 4 runs, 6 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, and all the 4 runs were earned.
Of course, nobody knows whether Chambers will get a hit, but he has already come up with the quote of the week. When called up from Memphis, he said, you get a good pitch to hit, run some balls down, try to steal some bases, and make sure we have more runs than they do at the end. I love that quote.
He got his first Major League start during this call-up. He was up at the end of the year last season for the Cardinals. 18 games last year, did not make a start. He's hitting over 300 at AAA Memphis with a home run, 12 RBIs, and he can fly. So Chambers first up, then back to Schumacher and Tyler Green. as Kendrick is turning in his best effort. He had a rocky performance out of the bullpen at the end of a sweep in a 3-game set in Philly by the Mets. It's when Charlie Manuel had a meeting and evidently lit up his team. The team went on to put together a 6-game winning streak. They lost 4 in a row. Now they're trying to win their 4th in a row after that 4-game losing streak, and Kendrick is trying to help them do it. Here's the 0-2. A strikeout starts the inning. And let's go for an update of what's coming up. NASCAR on Fox tomorrow. Here's Mike Joy.
Sunday at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Danica Patrick and NASCAR's top drivers, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon, tackle stock car racing's longest, toughest event, racing into the night in the Coca-Cola 600 on Fox.
Mike, thanks. That is tomorrow evening right here on Fox in high def as Skip Schumacher raises the arms on a strike, and Eduardo Sanchez, who's got great stuff, is had trouble controlling that stuff, is getting loose. He'll take over in the 7th. That's only pitch number 51 on the night. That's how economical this 27-year-old right-hander Kyle Kendrick has been tonight.
5 straight strikes here in the 6th.
16 of 19 first pitch strikes. Here is an 0-2. Just missed inside, ball 1. Phillies are on a 7-game road trip. They are at the Mets Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And they will start that series with Cole Hamels, who started the season 0-1, and since then he's ripped off 7 straight wins and has been about as automatic as any pitcher in the game. Automatic with regard to wins. Here's a 2-2 and a fly ball into left. Mayberry is there, back a few, and that's out number 2.
Again, that straight changeup.
And it'll bring in Tyler Green.
That last pitch, he's had the Cardinal hitters reaching, and Schumacher out in front.
He's the 2nd out, and here's Green, who is struck out and grounded out. Kendrick is dealing tonight, and he fires another first pitch strike. Tyler, as I mentioned, had that 2-run home run for the game winner in the 8th against the Padres on Monday night. Had a single, double, a home run at a huge game at Houston May 6th. And here's one into the corner for the Cardinals' first extra base hit of the night. Tyler Green has a double with 2 out here in the 6th.
And you hear that term hanger, Joe. You can hang a fastball, you can hang a breaking ball, or you can hang a changeup. That ball just staying up in the zone. There's, watch how high it is, middle of the plate. Almost like the ball just stops in front of you for big league hitters.
It brings in Matt Holliday, who is 0 for 2 tonight. Both Green and Holliday had a chance to win the game last night in the 9th. They came up empty against the eventual winner, Raul Valdez, who has 2 wins in this series and has been unscored upon in 6 1/3 innings. Only 2 hits so far since he was called up from AAA. And Holliday gets out.
We asked Charlie Manuel if Valdez would be ready to throw tonight. He said, I'll have to talk to him. He wasn't in the clubhouse when we were down there. So we don't know whether Valdez will be ready for action or not.
But likely not.
Likely not.
Holliday takes one down and in. And now Schneider's going to go out and try and slow down Kendrick, who just gave up that double to Green.
That might have been a cross-up right there. Maybe a slider. Schneider looking for a slider away, and that fastball, he caught it like he was crossed up. And usually if that happens, the catcher goes out and talks to his pitcher to get things straight.
Holiday with 10 home runs. That's tied for the 5th best total in the National League. He's tied for 8th in RBIs with 32. Hit 197 through the first 16 games, but he is over 300 since. Here's a 1-0. Ball 2. On deck is the National League's leading home run hitter, Carlos Beltran. And here's a 2-0. Ground ball to short. Rollins to his left. Picks it up. Gets the out. And Kendrick is through 6 shutout innings here tonight. 4-0 after 6. Back to St. Louis after a word from your local Fox station. Presented by Chevrolet. Well played game so far. There have been no errors, 10 hits. The Phillies have 6 of them, and all 4 runs as Eduardo Sanchez is into his 4th game. He's got electric stuff, but he had to go down to AAA and try and iron out some of his control issues. He really didn't have good numbers down there, was getting better. The Cardinals needed to make a move. Meanwhile, the battery for tomorrow, the combination of Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright talking in the dugout, maybe an approach for tomorrow could creep into that conversation as we go into the 7th tonight. And tonight's star for the Phillies, Kyle Kendrick, is going to lead it off. He has dropped down a good bunt, struck out, and he will deal with the mid to high 90s fastball of Eduardo Sanchez. And he looks at a strike.
Joe, I've told you before about what a great teammate Kurt Simmons was. Kurt, the left-hander, and I mean a great left-hander, just turned 83 and lives outside Philadelphia, runs a golf course. Robin Roberts was a partner in that golf course. But Kurt pitched for the Phillies and the Cardinals, had a great career. And he used to say, just give me 3 at-bats by the 7th inning. I don't care whether I'm 3 for 3. At-bats means I've done well, and that's the same with Kendrick. Kurt won 18 games for the 64 Cardinals. and was the pitcher in Game 3. It was 1-1 in the bottom of the ninth when Mickey Mantle hit the hanging knuckleball off Barney Schultz. But Kurt started that game against Jim Bouton.
How far did that hanging knuckleball fly off the bat of Mantle?
It has not come down yet.
Meanwhile, Eduardo Sanchez is showing you his problems. The bullpen for the Cardinals has had a brutal May, and he walks the pitcher to start the inning. And for a guy who hasn't had a lot of work, and it's something we talked about with Mike Matheny before the game, he gets a chance here. Now look at the difference. The starting pitchers in the ERA between April and May up. And then the relief work, it was so good in April, 2.70 ERA. In May, 5.64. And you see the average against.
About 90 points higher.
Mott last night getting the loss on that game-winning home run by Pence, and now the Cardinals holding their breath to see if Sanchez can throw a strike, and he's missed with 5 in a row. Wallin's 0 for 3. He struck out, flied out, fouled out. Here's a 1-0. Fastball for a strike, a ball and a strike. Monday against the Nationals started a streak of 20 games against teams with 500 records or better for Philadelphia. They lost the series to the Nationals, and they are going to assure themselves of a series win if they can win tonight. A chance for the rare 4-game sweep tomorrow behind Halladay. They can hang on this evening. 2 balls and a strike from Sanchez. A pop-up on the infield for Matt Adams. 1 on, 1 out. And now Chucky Fick, who was just called up, is fast getting ready in the bullpen because the Cardinals don't like what they see control-wise out of Sanchez.
How about that for a lyrical baseball name? Chucky Fick.
The legend of Chucky Fick.
That's a great name.
Got here 3 hours before game time, and he's getting loose here at 8 o'clock straight up as we play in the 7th. Ball 1 to Polanco. Polanco tonight has a double, and his double started the 3-run rally last inning. That's outside. 2-0.
If you're always around the plate, you get pitches like that. When you're wild, you don't. That ball just missed. Tony Cruz out to talk to his battery mate.
The Cardinals sent out Fernando Salas. Brought up Chucky Fick, who's getting loose. And Eduardo Sanchez isn't showing much control here in the 7th. There's Chris Carpenter, who's got a nerve issue in his neck or shoulder. Here's a line drive into center. Right at Schumacher, 2 out. Carpenter may start throwing here within the next 4 weeks. The MLB Fan Cave is back, and some of entertainment and baseball's biggest stars are scheduled to visit and appear in Fan Cave videos this season. Check out all the latest cave happenings at MLBFanCave.com. Follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter, and like the MLB Fan Cave on Facebook. Arsenio Hall, who just won the Celebrity Apprentice, I'm told, was there. George Brett, Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, and Jay Stubbs were the Reds in New York most recently. 3 of their biggest names were by the Fan Cave, and that's become a phenomenon.
A lot of fun.
You were there last year.
Last year, yeah. Went with Ken Rosenthal.
Good breaking ball for a strike to Hunter Pence. And now an even better pitch down and away, strike 2, and we've watched Sanchez find his control.
We talked about it earlier. get ahead, you can expand the strike zone. He just did it to Pence.
And now the 0-2 to Hunter Pence. And, well, forget about finding his control, as that one is uncatchable.
Yeah, you don't want to expand it that far.
Ball one.
That ball is about 2 feet outside.
Second wild pitch thrown by the Cardinals tonight. Runner at second on the wild pitch, 2 out. And that runner is the pitcher, Kendrick. He walked to start the inning. Rollins popped up. Polanco lined to center, and now a 1-2 count on Pence. Beltran is first up for the Cardinals in the bottom of this 7th. That's foul. There's Kendrick, who, by the way, does have a complete game in his major league career. Came in July of 2010 at Pittsburgh. Pitching like he wants another here tonight. That's grounded to Tyler Green. Gobbles it up, gets the out, and sends us into 7th inning stretch time. Sanchez gets around the leadoff walk. Beltran first up for the Cardinals, who trail by 4. On the Cardinals, this one's for you telecast. Specialist William Johansson shocked his girlfriend Shelby Fetch with an early return from deployment in Afghanistan and a surprise wedding proposal. He was there, as you saw, to catch the ceremonial first pitch with a mask on, then unveiled by pulling off the mask that it was him, and then got down on a knee and proposed to his now fiancee Shelby. Nice work, Specialist William Johansson.
You know, that was the second ring given out around home plate this year by the Cardinals. That one last night, and then the World Series ring about 2 months ago.
And we'd like to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world watching tonight's broadcast in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thanks for all you do, and we hope you're enjoying tonight's telecast. Maybe it gives you a little taste of home as we move into the bottom of the 7th inning. And for the Cardinals, it'll be Beltran, Freese, and Matt Adams. First pitch is outside for a ball. Kyle Kendrick has allowed 4 hits. His first extra base hit allowed last inning as he misses down and in 2-0. The Phillies have had no issues with their closer Jonathan Papelbon. They have also had some problems getting the ball into the hands of their shutdown guy at the back end of the bullpen. Here's a fly ball into center. Back is Victorino. One step onto the track, 1 out. Today's game presented by Chevrolet is sponsored by Prudential. Prudential, bring your challenges. And by Olympic Maximum Stain and Sealant in 1. Beltran made a bid for his 15th home run of the season, just got under it. And Kendrick, even though he fell behind on the count, gets the out and deals with David Freese. Freese tonight is 1 for 2. First pitch up and in, ball 1. 10 home runs, 33 RBIs. That RBI total 5th best in the National League at the start of the day. 1-1. David, since the 20th of last September, has 61 RBIs in 69 games. That's the second most across baseball. Only Josh Hamilton has more. But a big reason why he's number 2 on that list, the 21 RBIs he had during the playoffs. It was the NLCS and the World Series MVP.
That's what gets you on David Letterman.
That's right.
Yeah.
And walk-on roles and Country Music Award presentations and Leno. There's a strike and it's 2-2. Trying to get on with 1 out here in the 7th. Kendrick in charge tonight. Freese with a base hit into left. He's 2 out of 3. And those 2 off days, Monday and Tuesday, did him a world of good. With Adams coming up, we'll step aside. Here's Matt with a game break.
Joe, the Rockies and Reds. Cincinnati got on Jeremy Guthrie for 4 in the first, and Devin Mesoraco adding on. He won a game with a grand slam 2 nights ago. Solo shot here. The Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania native Devin Mesoraco may become more popular than the groundhog that tells us when to put away our winter coats. Back to you guys in St. Louis.
Thank you, Matt. And that Guthrie deal has worked out better for the team that got rid of Guthrie as opposed to the one that got him.
That's a fact.
The team that got rid of him, the Orioles, and it's Baltimore leading the AL East. Here is a ground ball to first. Out at the bag. Throw to second with a tag for a double play. Nicely turned by Wigginton and Jimmy Rollins. That sends us into the 8th inning. Second double play turn tonight by Philadelphia. And our thanks to our troops here and overseas. Memorial Day weekend as we go to the 8th. 4-0. Phillies on top. from Kyle Kendrick in the dugout, not because he's thrown a no-hitter, but so far he has thrown just 68 pitches in 7 shutout innings. He's pitched around 5 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts, and that means you get to sit by yourself.
He has pitched exquisitely for the Phillies tonight.
Here's Ty Wigginton, the number 4 hitter for Philadelphia. First up, he'll be followed by Victorino and Mayberry. Guys in that 4, 5, 6 spots. The 5, 6 positions in this Philadelphia lineup has done some damage. Wigginton is 0 for 3. He's fly to center, struck out, popped up, took a ball, and now the next from Eduardo Sanchez is in for a strike, and the Cardinals hope to use this inning for Sanchez to build on what he did last frame when he got around that leadoff walk and settled in. Did throw a wild pitch, but had better control as the inning wore on. Here's a swing and a miss on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball as the only left-hander in the Cardinal bullpen, Mark Zepchinski, gets loose. Here's a 1-2. A check swing. He did not go, and the count 2-2. Garcia, the starter, struck out 6, but allowed 4 runs on 6 hits in 6 innings. He's on the hook for his 3rd loss. There's a swing and a miss. Struck him out, and out number 1 here in the 8th.
Joe, when you think about it, most major league hitters do not swing and miss any place other than the games, because in batting practice you're always making contact. Major league hitter does not swing and miss in batting practice. He always makes contact. And we thought about that last night. We were on the field. We asked Charlie Manuel, Mark McGwire, and John Mayberry about how many times did they think that a major league hitter would swing the bat a year. And we came up with 2 interesting answers from Charlie and Big Mac, and both were about the same. They said about 125 to 150 times a day from the beginning of spring training till the end of September when the regular season stops. So that's 192 games, including the 30 in spring training, plus 162 game schedule at about 120,000. That's conservative, and it ended up to 24,000 swings a season.
And does not include at bats during games. Here's a fly ball into center for Schumacher, and Victorino, who has an RBI double, a walk, and a run scored, is out number 2 here in the 8th inning.
And I guess, you know, that one of the points there is that major league hitters, once again, do not swing and miss unless it's in a game.
With 2 out, here's Mayberry.
That's because of the movement of pitchers. They throw breaking balls out of the strike zone, things like that. So for all you fathers who are coaxing your youngsters into playing Major League Baseball, there's a lot of work involved. 24,000 swings a year is a lot.
With 2 out, nobody on, Mayberry, who has a 2-run double tonight, takes a strike from Sanchez. Do you guys hit more than they did when you started?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we never had machines in the dugout. Charlie Manuel said that some of his players come right from the field and go right to the batting cage. They don't study the game or anything like that, but he was saying they're so obsessed with hitting. Jimmy Rollins or guys like that, they come right off the field, throw their gloves aside, get right in the batting cage, even though they may be up like 6th or 7th in the inning.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out, nobody on. Mayberry takes a pitch down and away. And in these newer ballparks, it's not the case in a park like Wrigley, where the hitting cage underneath is out in the outfield in right center field, but they have hitting cages right off the dugout, in between the dugout and the clubhouse.
That's right.
Here is a 2-1. 2-2, big swing, 95 miles per hour from Sanchez, who has settled in. 2-2 with 2 out, nobody on. Rare is it when you make that walk, a before a game between the clubhouse and the dugout, and you don't hear that thwack of somebody hitting right in the cage just off the dugout. With the bases empty, Mayberry trying to get something started, fouls it back, and he's had some big swings. You see the velocity creeping north for Sanchez. That last one, 96. So you're willing to live with a guy who has to find his control when he's got that kind of stuff. We're in the 8th, 4-0 Philadelphia behind Kyle Kendrick. A strikeout on a 96-mile-per-hour fastball into the bottom of the 8th. Kendrick smacks his glove, and back to the hill he goes. Cruz, Descalso, a pinch hitter coming up. The work of Kyle Kendrick tonight. He's been fantastic. Back to the hill he goes. Game is sponsored by new Just for Men Auto Stop. It's foolproof. Gray is over. And by Dodge. Visit your local Dodge dealer today. The game summary so far is easy. It's him. Kyle Kendrick. Yes, the Phillies have come up with some big hits, a couple of doubles, a couple of walks, some RBIs, but the story of the game so far tonight, Tim, is the guy on the mound who has been completely in control.
Absolutely.
He's actually going to give us a little video piece in a moment. And the key for him has been that changeup that's been so good. There's a fastball that touches 90, and he has it fouled away off the bat of Tony Cruz. It'll be Cruz, then Descalso, and then a pinch hitter. There is no action for the Phillies in their bullpen.
Yeah, and I know Philly fans watching this game are saying, how many games has Kyle Kendrick started and there's no action in the bullpen in the 8th inning?
This is only pitch number 70.
Unbelievable.
And he misses low, 1 ball, 1 strike for the second time. The newest Cardinal, Chucky Fick, gets loose out beyond the right field wall. But right now it's the Cardinals trying to get something going with the bats. The 1-1. Strike 2. There's that 90-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-2. Cruz has flied to right twice. Freese has 2 hits. Adams has a hit. Green a double, the only extra base hit of the night. That came with 2 out in the 6th. Tyler Green. Schumacher led off the game in the bottom of the 1st for the Cardinals with a base hit. That's it. He struck out 3, walked nobody, and he has Cruz reaching And a little fly ball into center. Boy, that changeup has been good. And it's tonight's Burger King smooth plays of the game, Tim. The changeup from Kyle Kendrick.
He has used it beautifully, and Brian Schneider's one of the reasons. I mean, he has just been terrific behind the plate with the real feel for what Kendrick's doing tonight. And that's the last one. Reaching. And Tony Cruz is out.
He's had these hitters totally off balance, and with one out, nobody on, here's Descalso, who grounds back to Kendrick. The flip over to first, 2 out. And with the bases empty, Shane Robinson will come off the pine and hit for Sanchez, who goes 2 innings, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts.
Kyle Kendrick, you mentioned, was from Texas. He had a scholarship to Washington State to play quarterback, and I'm sure that somewhere in his career as a baseball pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, he's had second thoughts about, should I have gone to Washington State, or because I'm not pitching real well. Well, tonight I think he's probably thinking that he made the right decision.
With 2 out, nobody on, here's Robinson batting, and he takes a strike over the outside corner, and that's been another key for Kendrick, who's pitched well over his last 5 starts now with an ERA of just over 2, but an 0-2 record. And for a guy who's had a ton of run support prior to this year, when pitching for the Phillies, he's got enough tonight. A 4-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th. Here's a 1-1. Robinson lines a base hit into left center field. Victorino over to cut it off, and down 4-0. No reason to push it. Well played by Victorino. It's a single. And the batter will be Skip Schumacher, with the Cardinals down 4-0 in the 8th. Last night, Cliff Lee went 7 for Philadelphia, allowed 3 runs on 8 hits, struck out 7, walked 3. On Thursday night, Joe Blanton was up 6-0 and blew that lead. A home run by Molina in the 5th inning tied the game at 7, and that game was decided by the bullpens. Won 10-9 by Philly. There's Cliff Lee, who does not have a win. Spent some time on the disabled list with a strained oblique. Here's the 0-1 to Schumacher. Should end the inning. The changeup again. Rollins goes to first. The inning is over, and Kyle Kendrick is through 8 shutout innings. We go to the 9th. Phillies coming up, leading 4-0. thrown in the dugout. He had to get up and move down to the other end because he's due up third in this 9th inning. He's thrown a 6-hit shutout so far. And we are about to witness the first major league pitch of a right-hander, 26-year-old Chucky Fick, who is the nephew of 10-year major league vet Robert Fick. Was with the Tigers, catcher, bounced around a bit. Was in the big leagues for 10 years, and Chucky, his first pitch in the big leagues is a ball down and away. This Fick is also the son of longtime Cardinals scout Chuck Fick. Lives out in California, and he deals a pitch to Galvis, who flies to left, 1 out.
Chucky's hometown, Thousand Oaks, California. That's where Mike Socia, the manager of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, lives, and the late great Sparky Anderson.
The Angels are out of last place in the AL West. We showed you that Pujols went deep again early in their game against Seattle. Now homered in 3 straight, has 451 for his career, and the batter is, with 1 out, nobody on, Brian Schneider. Ball 1 up and away. That's high. Ball 2. So when you see that the guy on the mound is the son of a longtime Cardinals scout, Chuck Fick, it makes you think of what we talked about with Mike Matheny before
I was thinking of that.
Today's game. Here's a base hit into right. Off the bat of Schneider, 1 on, 1 out. We look ahead to next Saturday night. Baseball Night in America will reconvene a week from tonight. And here are the matchups: Yankees and Tigers, Cubs, Giants, Reds and Astros, the Twins and the Indians in the first place spot in the AL Central, and the Diamondbacks and Padres. We'll highlight the Yankees and the Tigers. Miguel Cabrera, Derek Jeter. You see his career numbers against the Tigers, and he is putting together a big season for the Yankees, who won again today, and they've won the first 2 games of a 3-game set in Oakland.
Yet another great game by a great player, Derek Jeter.
So we were talking about Matheny and his son Tate, oldest of 5 kids from Mike and Kristen, plays at Westminster High School in the suburbs here in St. Louis. Is a center fielder and one of the best area baseball players here in 2012. Here's a good bunt by Kendrick. Down to second is Schneider, 2 out. And Mike was talking to you, Tim, before the game about saying if it could happen, if he could avoid it, he'd rather the organization he manages for now passes on his son Tate.
Right.
And he gets a clean slate, so to speak, in his own situation with another major league organization.
It was such an honest answer. I mean, here he is, his first year as a major league manager with the St. Louis Cardinals, asking the Cardinals not to draft his son. Obviously wants him to play, but he said it just takes too much pressure and puts too much pressure on a young man to have his father as the manager of a major league club.
Batter is Rollins, runner at second, 2 out. The 0-1 from Fick inside, and he said, I saw it with Chris Duncan, the son of Dave Duncan, the longtime pitching coach for Tony La Russa. Saw it with Cody McKay, the son of Dave McKay, the longtime first base coach. And he said it just makes it appear, whether it's fair or not, that the young player gets a break because his dad is tied in at the big league level with the Cardinals, and they get preferential treatment, and he doesn't want his kid to have to deal with that.
Yeah, and like any father, very proud of these young players being drafted by a major league operation, but wanting it somewhere else, not with St. Louis.
I, on the other hand, am totally for nepotism.
Yeah.
Bottom of the 9th, 4-0.
You should be.
Clubhouse in the foreground, the arch in the distance. People buzzing around this park. A sellout tonight, baseball night in America as we go into the bottom of the 9th inning, and Kyle Kendrick will try to finish what he started. Back at about 15 minutes after 6 p.m. locally. Here we are at 8:35. Does not have a complete game shutout, Kyle Kendrick. We mentioned the one at Pittsburgh in July of 2010. And off we go in the bottom of the 9th. The big bats will step in for the Cardinals. Right now it's Green, but then Holiday and Beltran. If anybody gets on, Freeze. And this will be pitch number 80. Outside, a ball and a strike. Tyler Green 1 for 3 tonight.
And if you're wondering about the shortest game of the 2012 season, it was the Phillies involved at Atlanta.
Strike 2.
Joe Blanton pitched a 3-hit shutout, and it was 2 hours and 2 minutes. The Phillies won that game 4-0. 2-0-2. This one not close.
And if he's going to beat the total pitch count of Joe Blanton, he's going to have to get to work and get some quick outs. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Tyler Green. A changeup and a foul tip. Green lost the bat.
Boy, if that in microcosm is not Kyle Kendrick tonight. Change up, totally fooling Tyler Green. Loses the bat, but does make contact.
And the count stays 1-2. The Phillies hoping to roll right into the finale tomorrow behind Halladay, looking for a 4-game sweep. Here comes a 1-2 pitch to Tyler Green. Outside, 2-2. Charlie Manuel and Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, who's in his 8th year with Manuel, running that pitching staff, have to be thrilled with what they're seeing tonight as the count goes full. But they'll be thrilled later. Right now, they're stressing about a 4-run lead and a 3-2 count on the leadoff man with the big bats coming up. No action yet for the Phillies in their pen. 3-2. This is the first time, by the way, all night that Kendrick has run the count as high as 3 balls in the at-bat. So he hasn't been past 2 out of the strike zone in any at-bat until right now. This will be pitch number 86. Green grounds to third. Polanco gets the high hop. 1 out. Tyler Green 1 for 4 on the night. The leadoff man is gone, and Matt Holliday walks to the plate 0 for 3. Holliday tonight is fly to center, struck out, grounded out. With the bases empty, Holliday waits for pitch number 1 and fouls it away. So another first pitch strike. The Phillies could not just win a game, but win a game where they give Carlos Ruiz, their catcher, the day off, and their bullpen a game off. Here's the 0-1. Strike 2.
20 for 30. First pitch strikes tonight.
Something you talked about early. Not just with regard to Kendrick, but really anybody. It's made a big difference tonight. Here comes an 0-2 to Holliday with the bases empty. Sticks the bat out, and that is caught. Going to the bag for insurance in the out is Wigginton. That ball was caught in the air. The first base umpire didn't immediately make the call. Wigginton knew he had it.
I don't think he ever made the call.
There he did there. Well, not until he went to the bag, but that ball was caught in the air.
You know who saw that? was Matt Holliday. Matt Holliday saw him catching it in the air and saying, why should I run? And he was booed as a result, and that's just an unfair deal with Matt Holliday. Watch, he's not running hard. He sees it caught. And then he said, well, he's almost arguing with the umpire that, hey, he caught that ball.
Here's a ground ball base hit up the middle off the bat of Beltran, his first hit of the night. And for the Cardinals, they're 7th. I guess officially, if you care, Holliday will go out as a ground out to first. That's what they called at first. That ball was caught. Either way, it's 1 on, 2 out. David Freese, who has the only 2-hit night for the Cardinals, digs his way in. Now they've changed it officially to a line drive out. So they've overruled the umpire. And it's a line out off the bat of Holliday. 1 on, 2 out. Freese takes a strike. So he's maintained throughout, and his velocity hasn't dipped at all. That was a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. With runners on tonight, the Cardinals don't have a hit. Ball 1.
I can't tell you about how satisfying it must be for Brian Schneider. I mean, here he gets a start against a tough left-handed pitcher, not only picking up 2 hits, but catching a shutout here in the 9th inning through the first 8 2/3.
Here's a 1-1. Strike 2. And Kendrick is 1 strike away from his first complete game shutout in the big leagues. Just because he's up, we'll show him to you. But right now it's Kendrick, who is 1 strike away. And the Phillies, with a win here tonight, would be 4 out behind Washington in the NL East. Kendrick. What a night, and he ends the night with a strikeout looking of David Freese. And he has never been better in the big leagues. A 7th-round pick in 2003, came up in 2007, went 10-4, won 11 games in 08, 3 games in 09, 11 games in 2010, and last year in 34 games, 8-6. But never better than tonight. A 4-0 win in a 2-hour, 26-minute game.
And never happier after a game than he is right now.
The strikeout is 4th of the night. Didn't walk anybody and allowed no runs on 7 hits. And this crazy game, you can never predict what you're about to see when you come into a ballpark, and nobody expected a complete game shutout out of Kyle Kendrick tonight, even him. But he celebrates as the Phillies have won the first 3 games of this 4-game set. Dominant here tonight. Kyle Kendrick, the 27-year-old, a complete game shutout. The guys in the MLB studio will be along on the other side of the break. 4-0. Philadelphia wins it tonight in St. Louis. So long from Missouri.